Hello and welcome to another edition of UC Sports. I'm Ben Hecox.
And I'm Zach Yaros. Stick with us to hear all about how this week went down in UConn sports.
A worried silence fell over the Husky faithful as they watched UConn superstar Paige Beckers fall to the floor in the final seconds in the victory against Notre Dame. An MRI a few days later revealed that the worst-case scenario was avoided, as she suffered a tibial plateau fracture in her knee with a recovery time of 6 to 8 weeks. Nika Mule will also miss 3 weeks as she is dealing with pain and a stress problem in her right foot. The Huskies' next opponent is Georgia Tech.
The men's basketball team had a road test as they faced the West Virginia Mountaineers. They took part in the Big East Big 12 Challenge. It was the Huskies' first true road game as they have played at home and in the Bahamas earlier in the season. Isaiah Whaley led the way for the Huskies with 15 points. RJ Cole had 14 and Andre Jackson put in 10, but it was not enough as the Mountaineers got the victory at home 56-53. Following 10 lead changes in the first 20 minutes of play, West Virginia led at half 32-29. Then turned up the defensive pressure and held UConn to a season low in points. UConn had plenty of second chance opportunities around the rim, but they could not capitalize. They did, however, out-rebound West Virginia 35-31. The Huskies were down 2 players as Tyrese Martin and Adama Sanogo are dealing with injuries. Martin is dealing with a left wrist fracture, and Sanogo will miss several weeks with an abdominal strain. St. Bonaventure is the Huskies' next opponent as they play in the Never Forget Tribute Classic in Newark, New Jersey. And we're going to send it to Noam and Sondik for this week's edition of Run It Back.
Welcome to Run It Back, the home of your 15th ranked UConn men's basketball team. How good does that feel?
Feels good. Last time they were ranked this high, December 2013, and a couple months later, something good happened. So I'm feeling great. Good vibes all around.
Something very, very good happened this year. I'm Noam Watt. He's Jacob Sondik. Today we'll talk about those 15th ranked Huskies. We'll talk about a team riddled with injuries but still winning. We'll talk about the last 2 games. One not so pretty, the other a bit prettier. Then we'll talk about our weekly MVP as always, and the week ahead when the cupcakes are no longer in the picture. So let's start with the 15th ranked team in the country. 8-1, 13th in the initial net rankings. That's like the number 1 metric used come Selection Sunday. And they're one of 3 Big East teams ranked in the top 25. Number 6, Villanova, UConn at number 15, and number 23, Seton Hall. Your initial reactions to this week's AP poll?
So I think it's interesting. In terms of non-UConn related content for the rankings, seeing Purdue at number 1 is kind of crazy. I mean, Duke did not last long at number 1, and I feel like that happens a lot in college basketball, especially in the early going, and especially with conference play starting. So that's why it's so important for UConn. The almost loss to Maryland Eastern Shore, which we're going to talk about shortly, it is still a win, and it's so hard to like have that perspective. But you look around the NCAA. And like just a couple minutes ago, Florida losing to 0-7 Texas Southern by double digits at home. So nothing's a given. So they took care of business, and they deserve that ranking, I think 100%.
And now there's going to be no more games where they have to force themselves to get up and get excited to play, a quadrant 4 opponent. This week, they've got West Virginia on the road, and then they've got St. Bonaventure's neutral site, and then it's Big East play. Now, Huskies are going to be entering those games without Adama Sanogo, abdominal strain or maybe tear, and without Tyrese Martin. Tyrese Martin in the middle of a 2 to 4 week absence, left wrist injury, and Sanogo, we heard on the College Hoops podcast with John Rothstein that Dan Hurley told him Sanogo might be back a little bit sooner than expected. He felt better today than he has in days past, and that's a good sign. But even so, without those 2 guys, they're still executing at a high level against Grambling State.
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, you, Grant, and I were able to broadcast it with Wuss, and we got like a whole view of a whole team effort, I would say. Everyone was stepping up. RJ Cole didn't have it. We'll talk about him. But RJ Cole didn't have it. They were getting to the line as a team, especially. They didn't turn the ball over that much. I think they had 5 turnovers by the end of the game, which is incredible compared to the sloppiness from VCU and Maryland Eastern Shore. So they cleaned up a lot of things. The defense looked great. Guys stepped up to fill the scoring absences of Sanogo and Martin. So it was a great bounce back performance that they needed going into this tougher week.
And it's been talked about the depth of this UConn team it's good. They have a top 10 ranked recruiting class, and Jordan Hawkins is starting to really ball out. Hit a couple more threes against Grambling on Saturday. We saw Samson Johnson for his first true minutes. A bit unsteady in the first half, but really started to play better in the second half. Had a big dunk and a three-pointer that looked smooth. And Rasul Diggins got some actual minutes off the bench. Didn't really see him, get involved that much offensively, but Coach Hurley is going to need to rely on these guys because, yes, you ideally want to play your 9-guy rotation and not touch Samson Johnson and Rasul Diggins as needed. But come Big East play, and as the injury bug is hit, you're going to need to rely on those guys. Now, Coach Hurley called upon legendary coach Jim Calhoun, recently retired, to come to practice after the Maryland Eastern Shore game. Coach wasn't necessarily happy with the effort the team put out, the spirit they played with. Plus, he wanted Coach Calhoun to speak some words of encouragement to Tyrese Martin and Adama Sanogo. I love that Coach Hurley is bringing in the legend in Calhoun. Do you agree with me on that?
I absolutely. Anything Jim Calhoun, I'm for. This guy built the program to what it is today. Hurley rebuilt it in this most recent stretch, but 99, 04, 11, and yes, Kevin Ollie won in 14, but he won with Jim Calhoun's recruits. So Jim Calhoun's the original carpenter, and he's seen it all with UConn. So this is Dan Hurley. Dan Hurley hasn't been here that long, so Calhoun's perspective is crucial, and Hurley knows that, and he takes advice and different bits of information from all around the NCAA. So I loved it. Calhoun, he's been there before. There's been rough UConn stretches, even in the years they won the championship. So this is nothing new for Calhoun, and I think his presence alone, inspired the guys to play a lot better on Saturday against Grambling.
Yeah, anytime the GOAT is in the building, you're going to listen to him, and I think it speaks volumes to the UConn program that Coach Hurley's comfortable bringing Calhoun in. He's not feeling intimidated or sort of pressured, but he said he called him up, wanted him to come in and speak to his guys, and it proved dividends because the Huskies, didn't beat Maryland Eastern Shore by a lot. They won 72-63, but then they bounced back with a resounding 88-59 victory over Grambling. Talk to me about those two games really quickly.
So, Maryland Eastern Shore, they just couldn't, until the end, put them away. And it felt like the fatigue from Atlantis was really evident. They came out flat. They were 20-plus point favorites. And middle of the week game in Hartford, which I will stand by the fact that they play better here than they do in Hartford.
They do.
There is no doubt in my mind. I don't know why that is. Well, I know why that is. There's more people, and it's the home gym. XL's the home away from home. It's not.
Think about it, too. Do you as a student, as a fan, want to drive 35 minutes to an XL Center that's 15,000 seats and has 8,000 people there against a cupcake opponent? No. You said it. Neither do the players, I think. They're never going to say that, but it's got to be tough to get up and get excited to play a game in that cavernous arena against a team that doesn't mean anything to you.
With crowds exactly, and with crowds that they don't fill up more seats. Despite XL holding more people, they don't fill up more seats. So that's my XL rant. Never been a fan. But then Grambling State, Saturday here, took care of business. They left no doubt from the beginning. They had a cook lob, lit the crowd on fire. The Hawkins threes, energy was there throughout. There was no being lethargic there.
No, they came out of the gates firing on all cylinders. A cook got it started. Andre Jackson, a ferocious dunk off a nice feed from Jordan Hawkins. That's the type of victory that we wanted to see and that we did see. Like you said earlier, balanced scoring attack. Now, I think we're going to agree on this next one. Your weekly MVP.
RJ Cole World. His buckets are so valuable because without him, they cannot put the ball in the basket. Because when he didn't have it against Grambling State, it's more fresh in my mind. I'll go back to the Maryland Eastern Shore game. Didn't have it from the field. It was over 7 from 3. It was 4 for 14 from the field in general. But he got to the line so often. 10 for 11 there. 91% for the year, right at the average. And then against Maryland Eastern Shore, in a game that they barely won, they needed all 25 of his points. He shot 8 for 16 from the field, 7 for 7 from the line, so that's 17 for 18 in total, leaving no points at the line. And he's the leader of this team. He does everything. 4 steals, 7 assists, 5 rebounds against Grambling State, and then only 2 turnovers in those 2 games. We saw the press getting to him a little bit in Atlantis against VCU, but he's not letting go of the ball and letting the other team get transition points. The transition points that UConn on the offensive end pulls away with teams. So it's got to be RJ Cole. Big East honorable mention, I think, or honor roll.
Yep.
So well-deserved. the leader of this team. There's a reason why he averaged 25 points a game at Howard. I don't care what conference it's in. To score 25 points a game in 40 minutes of play is super impressive.
Yeah, and he, after that Maryland Eastern Shore game, had scored 24-plus points in 3 out of his last 4 games. Like you said, he was a volume scorer at Howard. We didn't necessarily see a lot of it last season. He caught a lot of flack for maybe not playing up to UConn fans' expectation, but this year he's been lights out. 18 points again Saturday against Grambling, and against a team like West Virginia on the road in a hostile environment, you're going to need him because I don't trust Rasul Diggins yet, and Jalen Gaffney hasn't quite proven to me that he's ready to take on the point guard role. So RJ Cole, he's your 5th-year senior. You're going to rely on him. Now that brings me to our preview of the next week. UConn at West Virginia, Wednesday night. Big East, Big 12 battle, 7 p.m. ESPN2. Then the Huskies return to New Jersey. The Never Forget Tribute Classic against St. Bonaventures. That's a team who was ranked at one point. That's Saturday, 3:30 p.m. ESPN2.
Yeah, I'm excited. The Cupcakes, it's not like it's fun to see blowouts, but this is real college basketball. We're getting into it. Conference play is very much within sights. And of course, we'd love to have everyone healthy, but of course, with Sonogo and Martin going down, that's just not the case. I'm excited. I really am. West Virginia is a very hostile environment. They've been a powerhouse for a while. Bob Huggins has created an insane program there over the years. They're always in the tournament, always a threat to make a deep run. And this is the first hostile environment that a lot of these guys are going to play in because COVID last year and then a lot of freshmen that cracked the rotation this year. So it's a big test before conference play where they're going to have to play in hostile environments in the next coming winter months.
Now, if you ask me the key for the West Virginia game, I would say they have to shoot the 3-ball well. Didn't shoot it particularly well against Grambling State and still put up 88 points. Against West Virginia, that's not going to cut it if they don't shoot it well. So I'm looking at guys like Jordan Hawkins, Tyler Pauly, and then secondary guys like RJ Cole. He can't shoot 0 for 7 from 3. Jalen Gaffney's going to have to hit a few. A Cook, probably going to have to take a few and maybe make 1 to 2. And even Isaiah Whaley, a guy who we've seen become more confident in his 3-point shot, he's going to have to stretch the floor a little bit. The Huskies are going to need to find ways to score the basketball without Adama Sanogo. Now, Saturday, we'll be there as fans. I cannot wait for that environment. I feel like UConn fans are going to flood the Prudential Center. It's going to be a fun environment against the Bonnies.
Absolutely. I mean, St. Bonaventure was ranked the whole year, and then due to the heroics of A.J. Green of Northern Iowa, giving them 35 and 9 threes, they lost their ranking. But they're still a great team. I mean, they have 5 guys that average double figures, which is super impressive. And they're like 8-9 deep. Like, they're similar to us in a way. I mean, it's not that shocking because Hurley's an A10 mine. They're from the A10 conference. I know it might be a bit of a stretch, but I really don't think it is. So I love that we got these games scheduled. Just going from Grambling to playing Providence right away would do no one any favors. And God forbid they lose one of these games, it doesn't matter as much as losing to Providence. Obviously, we want to win them. So I'm not saying, I'm not building in excuses, but it's perfect timing. Perfect.
They're good opportunities, too. The West Virginia game is going to be a quadrant 1 game. Then St. Bonaventure's game on a neutral court. That's a game, if you win, it's going to look great on your resume. So you're 8-1, 15th ranked UConn men's basketball team. 2 big games this week. We hope you'll tune in. The 2 of us will certainly be watching extremely closely. And we'll see you next week for another episode of Run It Back.
On November 27th, the UConn men's hockey team played Colgate at the XL Center in Hartford. No problem in this one. 6-1 was the final, as 6 different Huskies scored in the game. Due to COVID-19 related issues, UConn games against American International College on December 9th and 11th have been postponed. The Huskies will not take the ice until the new year, when they will be at Harvard on January 2nd. UConn hockey is 8-6 on the season.
Women's hockey played at home against the Holy Cross Crusaders on December 3rd in Stores. They did just fine, winning 4-0. Junior Claire Patterson put it in the back of the net for the 3rd time this season. Second period, Catherine Stockdale got her 3rd of the season. Same period, Jada Habish sunk it in the back of the net. Third period pressure was the word of the game. Up 3-0, the Huskies still put it on to Holy Cross. Amy Laundrie would score the last of the Huskies' goal to make it final 4-0. The next day, UConn went to Worcester, Mass. as they got the 4-1 victory. Their next game is January 7th at the University of Vermont.
The first ever home volleyball playoff game was played at Gamble. UConn took on North Florida, and it was electric. The fans made sure to show their support as the volleyball team showed what they have been all year long. Taylor Pennell had a career-high 16 kills and 5 blocks on the 3-1 victory over UNF. And here's this week's edition of Husky High Five from Cole Steffen.
Thanks, guys. As the semester comes to a close, the Huskies are starting to heat up, whether it's on the court or on the ice. With several great plays to show for their dominance, let's get right into the Husky High Five. Kicking off with number 5, we head to the Freitas Ice Forum for a Hockey East showdown against the Holy Cross Crusaders. The Huskies are known for their hot offense, and Jada Havis proved that by burying home a shot after receiving a pass from Vicky Harkness for her 7th goal of the season. The Huskies beat the Crusaders 4-0. Number 4 was absolutely electric. In their contest against number 24 Notre Dame, Dorka Juhas and Olivia Nelson-Adoda went back and forth in front of the rim to try and get the ball into the net. After several rebounds, Nelson-Adoda brought it home and drew the foul. Nelson-Adoda would finish with 14 points and 13 rebounds for her first double-double of the season. The Huskies knocked out the Irish 73-54. Capturing third place, Akokako. The Huskies have a bunch of players who attack the paint with remarkable dunks. Before the first media timeout, he reaches up and stretches for the alley-oop against Grambling State, putting Gamble Pavilion into a frenzy and drawing the foul. Akok finished with 10 points and 6 rebounds. Rolling right into number 2, Isaiah Whaley continued to prove why he is the wrench in this Steel defense. Grambling State weaved their way to the basket, but Whaley looked at his weak stuff and forcefully returned it back to the sender. In terms of defense, it was just your typical Saturday for Whaley, who finished with 2 blocks and 8 rebounds. At the top of the list, we have a breakaway choice, and it belongs to Andre Jackson. After Grambling State donated their possession to UConn, Jackson took the pass from Jordan Hawkins, went up, and threw the hammer down so ferociously he nearly blew the roof off Gamble. Jackson would finish with a balanced 6 points and 6 rebounds. UConn would outplay Grambling State 88-59. We also have an honorable mention as UConn's own James Bouknight threw back to his college days with a massive dunk against the Philadelphia 76ers. The Charlotte Hornets lost 127-125 in overtime, but Bouknight finished with a career-high 11 points. Those are the top plays for the Huskies this week. Until next time, this is Cole Steffen. Good luck in your finals. Back to you, guys.
Thanks, Cole. That's it for UC Sports. Don't forget to follow us on our YouTube page, UCTV Channel 14, and at UCTV Sports on Twitter and Instagram. Take care.